I think that did it.
All right.
What up, Evan? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Thanks. A little under the weather this week. It always happens in the beginning of winter because
Dude,
winter is
everyone's been
lame.
sick at Narwhal. We had only like I think I don't know, maybe about a couple handfuls of people at our last all hands. So
Yeah. Yeah, and somehow it's something that we never seem to be able to foresee in advance. Like I find at work where we're like, okay, well, we can have like we already think, okay, we're gonna have like a weird 3 week sprint or something around the holidays, because everyone's gonna go off towards the end of December. But then everyone gets sick in the beginning of December, so it's like, why do we even bother? We should just have the whole month off. I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah.
I'm hearing
So,
the echo, so I'm going to try. I'm trying to find it so I can kill it. Okay, there it is.
okay.
Sorry for that. But yeah, so I wanted to look at Midjourney this week if
Oh,
that's cool.
yeah,
Um,
okay.
I'm very interested in this. Would it be weird to see if we could try to generate a thumbnail for our conversation, like midstream here? Is that a thing it could do, or is that not a thing it would be great at?
I don't know. Depends what we want that thumbnail to be.
Well, I don't know. Just something, maybe just something with a fantastical like background or setting. I don't know.
Yeah,
That
sure.
could work.
All right, let's play around with it. Um, yeah, if anyone joining in hasn't uh, heard of Midjourney or these things, you probably have heard of Dolly too. And you know, the new hotness this week has been where do I have it? I even have it open because I'm constantly doing it. ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Um, Holy crap, it's amazing.
Oh
It's
man.
wild. So I've been using ChatGPT actually to generate prompts for Midjourney to add in an extra creativity and flair and words that I don't know.
Really?
But yeah, that's
That is really cool.
it's pretty wild. Let me see if I have one.
Okay. I will say, I want to say this before we get too much further
Yeah,
in
yeah.
because I really actually think that this stuff is really quite cool. But I do feel like there is some element of this all the AI stuff being a little bit of a grift. just just in
Hmm.
the sense of like the things people post on Twitter, I'll try
Yeah.
to do myself and I I just don't have the same results. Maybe it's just I'm not as good a prompter
Hmm.
as other people are, but I
Well,
feel like
let's.
it's so much more difficult than it might appear at first
It is.
to get useful stuff out of it. So
But that's the thing. I hear all these people that are complaining about how, oh, it's too easy, it's taking away jobs. And I'm like, it's not that easy.
yeah,
Um, Look, it's easy to get something beautiful, but to
right.
get what you want and have it be
Yes.
beautiful is really hard. And that
Yeah.
is like the key. And hey, guess what? That's the same with all art. You know, you can
Yeah.
you
It's
can
just a
throw
very
paint on a
different
page and have it
brush.
look nice. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different kind of brush, but it still takes effort and concentration. Um, yeah, so I don't know, like with ChatGPT, I've been explaining to it because it resets the context whenever you refresh the window. So I've explained to it like, you don't know what Midjourney is, but I've been trying to get in particular some fantasy maps. So I explain how the prompting system works to ChatGPT, and
Yeah.
I give it like a formatting thing. And then I say, okay, you also have to do this, and we have like these things.
That's
Anyway,
so
I
cool. So
give it
you
some
have this one will
examples.
prime
Yeah,
your
yeah.
chat bot, your chat session.
Yeah, so like I get it set up and it says, okay, here's some initial ones, and then it'll give me, I mean, these are all kind of cool and I know will work quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I could say, okay, let's tweak that, but let's replace um, the idea of, well, actually, it's already doing what I want. I like changing, so not using the word map sometimes helps to get
Mm-hmm.
a more interesting map. Like, this is great. This is working really well. And I don't know who this person is. Um, so like I guess what do we have? I
You
don't know
just
who
made
this person
something
is.
up.
Maybe, maybe. I don't know. Maps? I don't think I asked fantasy art. Let's see. I don't know. but maybe you have to experiment and see. Maybe it'll know who it is. Sometimes it isn't. Like this is great. Mike Schley, for example, is definitely a fantasy map artist
Really?
who makes beautiful stuff. I love his stuff, but Midjourney doesn't know that name. Um,
Ah,
so it doesn't actually help when you add that to the prompt. So it's trial and
interesting.
error. It's finding there's this. Okay, whatever. Let's get into making something interesting. So Midjourney is this big ass server here with 5 million users.
Yeah.
Um, it's wild and crazy and is sort of all over the place. But
Dude, I was in here earlier this week. I was actually trying to do like something for a thumbnail for the video we put on the NX channel earlier
uh
this week. And I was just like I couldn't get it to do what I wanted. I just I just
yeah.
gave up at some point cuz I exhausted all my free tokens.
Oh,
But
okay.
it is it is wild because being in the bot, you just kind of see everyone else's prompts
Yeah.
coming through. I can't help but be like, man, everyone else's stuff looks so good. Mine,
Yeah.
I just can't get mine to do anything interesting.
Well,
So
well, everyone, being in these big channels where it's just constantly streaming by, right?
yeah,
Um, that's nice, but it's a little overwhelming, I find as well. Okay,
yeah,
maybe abstract's not moving as fast as it used to, but if you go to one of like the general image gen channels with like everyone in here, it's
yeah.
just a constant stream of let me try this, let me try this.
Oh man,
And
that one looks cool.
of course, yeah, yeah, they all look cool. This isn't even V4, this is using V3. Um,
Oh wow.
but okay, I don't do that. So what I do in Midjourney lately is I'll hang out in these community forums. So like there's a whole channel talking about ChatGPT and how to do stuff with Midjourney. There's also
Interesting.
my favorite is the Cartographers Guild where we show off our maps that we're creating and we also like share with each other tips for uh, getting other styles out of it and stuff. There's architecture
Yeah,
stuff that people are posting and tips and tricks in there. Anyway, there's a bunch of cool little things, and people are generally pretty cool about sharing their prompts and what made things get this way. I,
that's really
I
cool.
tend to share my stuff too. But this whole thing can be really overwhelming. So I created my own Discord server. No one else is in here except for me and the bot, but it allows me to group what I build into sections and channels. So if I'm
Nice.
working on like, miniatures, I have a place for that. And yeah, I can still scroll back up through what I've been creating, but I don't have to like have that mixed in with the experiments I'm doing about timelines and imagery sheets or the double exposures, which has a whole different thing. I've been doing so many of those. So decluttering and helping myself organize stuff.
Dang.
We're gonna start off in experiments here, and we're gonna say, okay, I mean, what do we even want this thumbnail to be?
I don't know. We could,
Yeah,
well, okay, after the thumbnail, what I wanted to ask you is if we could try to see if we could use it to make some interesting new starter Pokemon,
oh
if that
yeah,
would be a thing. Maybe we could just like go into that and use like one of those as the thumbnails
yeah,
for the video.
okay. Yeah, there's for sure there's a whole thing here, somewhere in here about
Oh, that's some crazy Pikachu stuff.
what is it? Fakemon? I just saw it the other day. I saw an image thread here about like generating fake Pokemon and stuff. There, Fakemon. Um, yeah,
Oh, that one actually looked cool. The one with the up a little bit. Yeah, that more I guess more pixel art looking thing. That
yeah, the
was
pixel art ones.
interesting.
All right, so here's the trick then. What I would do is I would right click. I've enabled in my Discord settings the developer thing, so I can get the ID of this
Okay.
guy here. And then I can go to the Midjourney site and /app/users and paste that ID there to get to this guy's gallery. Oh boy, they reset the website. Hang on. They're still actively developing
Yeah.
Midjourney. So let's try that again. Let's go here to this guy's profile.
It's
random
crazy to me, by
stuff.
the way, that the primary mode of using Midjourney is via the Discord
Yeah.
and via the bot. It's really cool, but it's not what I would have expected.
No, me neither. And they probably will move away from that eventually. There are some like interfaces that they're working on in alpha mode. Um, it's a little buggy, so I don't actually use it. I can't find this Pokemon.
This guy's been active, huh?
I mean, all of us have.
Yeah.
Look, I've been sorting my stuff into a Lightroom catalog just to give me a chance of like find like there's so many, but it's 15,000 almost
Ooh, man.
uh, generations of images. So like
And
it's
that's just you, or is that you
that's just
grabbing
me.
things you find
No,
interesting too?
no, I wouldn't. All these ones are all mine.
Nice.
And that's the idea. Like I wouldn't take any of this guy's stuff.
Hmm.
And it's possible also he might have a private account where he's doing some other stuff. Um, oh, I know why it's not showing up. It's because he didn't upres any of these, and by default
Ah,
it only shows the upscaled ones, not the grids.
gotcha.
All right, he still will have a lot. It's not that, but yeah, a whole different thing. And yeah, sorry in advance to him if he somehow stumbles upon this and I'm sharing all of his images. It didn't really mean for that. But okay, so here's his prompt, right? So he
Okay.
does white background isolated. That's a good keyword to get this sort of thing. Pixel art sprite, that helps as well. And then I'll copy the whole command just to see. We go back to ours
Cool.
and we'll paste that in as a starter.
Cool.
So the thing is, like, this isn't stealing, right? The prompt itself, though crafted, etc. If you need to keep that safe, don't share your images. Don't. You can turn on private mode if you're on a paid plan. So
Yeah.
for me, I don't think that's a big deal to steal that. And in general, I do try to like tweak and stuff. One thing I also see is when I see an artist, I go look them up first just to see like what vibe that's going to get. So this is like the Pokemon art style
Oh, okay.
artist. Um, what I would do is try and find one other one as well whose art style I like. And there is you would think I was prepared for this call, by the way, Zach, with having this all open. I
I
just do
figured
this
you were
all the
just
time.
you're just into this so much you could just go off on it.
Yeah.
For everyone watching, Evan has had no prep for this aside
No.
from like last week I mentioned, hey, it would be cool to look at all that Midjourney stuff you show me
Yeah.
sometimes.
People have put together these reference sheets
Yeah.
of artists that they're pretty sure that Midjourney knows, right?
Okay.
So they have got like creature artists. And look, this is the ethical issue of like, does this guy Den Beauvais know that Midjourney understands his stuff as a particular style? Brian Froud, for example,
Yeah.
and is it okay to use that? And the thing is, I am on the fence of whether it's okay to use that,
Right.
especially with living artists. So whenever I see a single artist in a prompt, I try to add another one as well. So it just is a blend of multiple influences pretty specifically. Um, so in this case, though, we've got the Pokemon
The
artist. I just want to find another style that will help
Yeah,
us
it's interesting.
tweak it
So
a
you
bit.
have is this a sheet you maintain?
Oh, not me. God, that would be too much effort.
Okay.
No, so
I was curious.
community, it's a community effort. There's a couple different ones. Some are better than others. This one is more focused around like architects and stuff for building
Oh,
design.
interesting.
And this one has that as well, just has a lot of other ones too.
Hmm.
So yeah, you just kind of scroll through until you find a style that's like, okay, that could be interesting if a Pokemon did that or look like that. Uh, let's take this guy, Pharrell something.
Cool. And could we
Uh,
make it a fire tiger Pokemon, maybe?
yeah, of course, anything goes here. This part's fine.
Nice.
Okay, so this one will be okay, and we can even, give this a spin just to see what it looks like. What?
So the
Yeah,
dash dash V4, that was you telling it to use version 4 of the engine? Is that
yeah, I have
how it
that
works?
set by default. But yes, that's currently the default is version 3, so you have to specify to use version 4
Got it.
with this. Um, There's also a bunch of other like little flags at the end you can do.
Yeah.
There's chaos, which would make each of the four that's in the grid different from each other as much as possible.
Mm,
There's
interesting.
also stylize, which uses the kind of house style that Midjourney has, and like how, you know, how does this look or feel? If you put stylize 0, that's generally going to lead to pretty crappy images, but it will give you more precisely what you asked for if you're super specific.
Yeah.
Um, but if you do 1000, that's like, it's going to make it as beautiful as it can possibly make it.
But ignore the prompts more.
Not necessarily
Is that
ignore
kind
the
of the
prompts,
trade-off?
but prioritize what it sees as a good aesthetic over what aesthetics you might have mentioned.
Ah,
So in this one's case, it might say like, well, this pixel art doesn't look good on a white background, so I'm going to make it a beige background because that'll look nicer, right? That's its house style maybe taking over. I don't actually fully understand how it works, but yeah.
gotcha.
Okay, so these look kind of meh.
Wow. Sorry, awesome.
Eh,
But
eh, it's okay.
you're
So
not
let's.
impressed.
I'm not impressed. They're
Okay.
not coherent enough for me. Like, look, I told it to do a giraffe, and it freaking did a giraffe. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
There's no like wonky things here. These are maybe there's 5 legs on that giraffe, but you know,
Yeah, there's a
uh,
bird on the leg of one of the other
sure,
giraffes, which
you
maybe
know,
makes sense. Yeah, right there. Wait, the
it
other one
knows
has a
that.
bird on the leg too.
Yeah, yeah, it knows that birds hang out on giraffes sometimes. All right, it's a little wonky, but it's still pretty good. And these are also not upscale. Anyway, so I'm not impressed with that. So I
Okay.
would say like, okay, let's try and be a little more clear and use some of the blending techniques that it has available to us. So there's a thing called multi-prompts. So the first prompt we're going to do is like, okay, this is a description of the content of the image in a certain frame of reference. So we're going to stick with Fire Tiger. Um, and we're going to stick with the style of the artwork as well. No, maybe not. Let's see. I'm going to say a Fire Tiger. Let's say a Fire type Tiger Pokemon. And then I'm going to switch over to, so that's like one full thing that it will try.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, describing that same thing, but from a totally different angle, will
Mm-hmm.
be the uh, pixel art sprite.
So this is the
And
multi-prompt
yeah,
functionality. Okay.
yeah, this technically
And
what
can you
this
just do
means,
two, or can you do as many?
you can do as many as you want, and you can do different weights. So technically, when
I
I do
see.
the dash dash, I'm saying this is one, and then this one would also be one. So it's one by default, but you
Gotcha.
could also bump that up to like 3 or something like that and say it's
So that means
definitely this.
more a fire type Pokemon than a pixel art?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It'll still try and apply both, but it'll like lean away from pixel art if the aesthetic choices it's making as it does these generations um, work some more. I often don't find you need to weigh too much, especially when you're describing the same thing. If you're really mixing and matching like two disparate things, you might want to weigh them differently.
Mm,
In our case, I'm just going to do them even weights. I just want to give them a little more separation than when they're all in one prompt, all in one
gotcha.
go. What else do I want to say here? I will put the white background isolated also here in the second one. And I don't think that needs much difference, but you can see like I tried to say that the sprite or the pixel art is by these artists and that it doesn't matter. Like we're trying to get a fire type Pogar. So like this Pokemon put the trainer in there and like I don't want the trainer. I want to try and get a single um, sprite out of that. Okay,
Fair
let's
enough.
try this one. Um, Another thing I can show you, well, it's not going to take that long to wait, but it's really interesting when you blend stuff together.
Mm.
So, for example, I spun this one up the other day. Let me copy the link to that and we'll stick in experiments. But if I paste that as one prompt, it's
Hmm.
really heavily weighted when you paste an image prompt in. So if I put some text here, it would help guide it, but it would also like, I don't know, it'd be a little odd. And that's interesting. But if I then went and found like this cute little hamster thing that I generated the other day and pasted that, it will try and blend those two images together.
I'm very curious to see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick it in the 2:3 aspect ratio, so it's a portrait, and I won't give it any information about what it is, so it'll have to kind of figure out that that's a cute hamster, and it'll figure out that that's like a powerful storm god. I
Yeah.
could sculpt it a little by saying like hamster god.
Hamster
Uh,
God.
maybe we will just make sure that it gets the hint by saying that this
Oh
is.
man.
But in terms of this, these image prompts are like weight 20, which you can't even do with normal multi-prompts,
And
and then the text
you
is like
can't
weight one.
override that by adding your own weight, I
Not
imagine.
currently,
Okay.
not in version 4 anyway. So
Gotcha.
we'll let that spin. Okay, hey, this is looking better. But you see how it kind of drifted away from pixel art
Yeah.
in order to make you a cleaner like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Um, and if you like one of these, we can take it and then we can do some variations on it. So you tell me
Yeah.
which one you
I mean,
like the
top left
best.
is all right. None of them are
Yeah.
really popping out to me though.
Okay.
So,
Well, they're also not perfect the way they are. So if I also the pixel art makes it look a little more like Digimon.
yeah.
Yeah. But they get better as you upscale them as well.
Yeah. So that's what you did right there is you said U1 that was to upscale the top left
Yeah, exactly.
and V1 would have been to create more four other ones like the one in the
Yeah. So
top
by
left.
default, V1 will just like take the same seed of this one, but
Hmm.
allow it to mutate in different directions as it goes. Because um, oh God, I haven't turned video on in a while. It essentially just does an adversarial thing as it goes. It keeps generating a new one, and saying, how much is this like the prompt and the weights that we have?
Right.
Uh, but it starts from a point, and then after, several hundred generations, it can go in very different directions depending
Right.
on what it sees and what it recognizes in the blurriness. So you can see this one starting to come up,
Yeah.
and it'll
It's
find the
crazy to me
hamster in there.
too that you can see it in progress as these
Well,
things as
um,
it's like zeroing in on stuff.
yeah, I like that it does that. You can actually, and I'll do this for, maybe we'll spin up another hamster god one, and I'll show you this
I
trick.
know. I feel like it latched on to God and went down too much of a religious road
Yeah,
with that.
definitely. I'm gonna take that off and just see what it comes up with. But I'm also gonna do what is the video? Is it just video? I haven't done this in ages. No. Oh, you can't do it with V4. Oh, well, that's lame. For V3, you had the ability to do video, so you could like play back the recording. Yeah, definitely two on the religious bend. Let's just get rid of this and let it run again.
Looks like the
Um,
patron saint of shrewfulness.
yeah. Okay, so here's our upscaled version of the tiger Pokemon.
That tiger's looking kind of swole now.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so you say it's not exactly what you want. What are you missing from it? Maybe like fire? Um,
Yeah, I mean
okay,
it's not very fire type, but maybe that's an opportunity almost because maybe we could try to make it like because there's already been a fire type. One of the original 150 was a fire
right.
type tiger,
Okay.
Arcanine. Maybe we could do like a grass type tiger. Is that too
Sure.
crazy?
So let's say this. So we're going to take this one, which we kind of like the prompt of, and
Yeah.
instead of spinning variations to make the same seed and make it bigger, or make it slightly different, we're going to use the remix functionality that is I've got turned on by default. So when I press this button, it allows me to like regenerate this, but with a different prompt.
Okay. But
So
it's still going
in
to use like the same seed
Yeah,
instead?
same seed,
Excuse
and
me.
it uses this image as kind of like a low-weighted image prompt.
Okay.
Um, so it's not going to be so heavy duty, and even if I just don't change anything and submit, it will give me very different things. But let's just see what it does with grass type. I'm not convinced it knows what grass type is.
Yeah. It didn't seem like it's
Also,
understood what fire type was, even.
yeah, it's true. That's okay. We'll see. Also, I'm gonna take off the multi-weight
Hmm.
here, just to say like, okay, we like the formatting. This is fine. I don't want to change it too much, but this will say like, okay, let's try and make a coherent image because it's already going to start with a Pokemon looking sprite. So this is fine. I'll hit submit. That'll do its thing here. That's what I was hoping for. Look at that. Those are coming up nicely.
Oh,
Not
that
telling
looks
it it's a
nuts. That's
hamster.
something I didn't expect at all. It's going like down a troll kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah. It's wild. I like that.
Yeah.
I like this top left one, even though the eyes are a little wonky. We'll see where it spins. And
I like
again,
bottom right.
sure.
The lightning.
Yeah.
Let's see where that goes.
I like that sometimes it's a little annoying because you'll see something cool in here, like let's say these eyes, and then
Yeah.
by the time it continues and gets it up to bigger size, those have been like evened out.
Mm,
We'll see where it goes. But mostly, I like the upscaler. I like that it continues adding details.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's been some hiccups lately where it gets stuck, so we might get stuck at a
Oh yeah.
certain point here.
We're just
Yeah.
being too crazy for it. Hamster
No,
gods and
I would say
grass
that they're,
tigers.
yeah, they're hitting their limit with 5 million users. The other day, they realized that at least on version 3,
Hmm.
yeah, they're for queues getting stuck. At least on version 3, they said they ran out of GPUs.
Good lord.
There, here it is. We cannot get enough GPUs to process the current demands. That's
Wow.
wild.
That is
Yeah.
nuts. How are they well, have you tried with any other of the AI arts things? Do you bring any of the other ones into your flow? Um
Yeah, not really. I have a local version of Stable Diffusion, um, which is getting cool. And I have oh, we're back to pixel art
yeah.
sprites. All right, interesting. Um, yeah, I have Stable Diffusion, and I've played around with Dolly, but I burned up my credits pretty quick, and it's just not as it didn't. I don't know. I'm not as impressed.
Hmm.
Um, okay, well, that's a grassy tiger, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some research. Actually, let's try this. Um, uh, can we adapt this prompt? I'm going to build off of what to generate descriptions for Pokemon. Not sprites. For new Pokemon. For example, a grass type tiger Pokemon. Let's just see what it does.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see. Grass type Pokemon, tiger, colorful, vibrant green fur, razor sharp leaves for claws, roars like a lawnmower. Sure, why not?
Okay. Roars like a lawnmower. Wow, GPT.
Yeah,
He's got some imagination there.
yeah, no kidding.
I like our hamster god there too.
There's our hamster god.
I think
There's
I
this
made a
other
good
one.
choice swinging for the lightning.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I'm just gonna start this over. So grass type Pokemon, tiger, colorful, vibrant green fur, razor sharp leaves for claws, roars
So
like
we
a
are
lawnmower.
essentially restarting with this
Yeah,
prompt. Yeah.
I'm not in love with
Yeah,
these.
I don't
They're
like them
okay.
either. Like
Yeah,
that, the first one I felt had something, but it wasn't
yeah,
that crazy.
yeah, it's okay. And look, there's plenty of dead ends. That's the thing. You can't get too attached to this stuff because it's all
Mm,
just like, will this work? Will this work? What about this? Does this work? And eventually you find some absolutely gorgeous stuff,
yeah.
but not always. Um, right? Like this totally came out of nowhere, this one here. I was experimenting with something else and I set stylized to 1,000 and didn't specify map, and it was just like, oh, okay, I like that, but you know, wouldn't
Yeah.
have known how to ask for that, right? By the way, speaking of religious hamster gods, I think that's
What is going
amazing.
on?
I have in our D&D campaign we have um, a giant hamster that got like transported to another realm, and because there aren't any giant hamsters in that realm, a couple people thought he was a god because he could do magic, and so a whole bunch of bankers started to worship him as a god of commerce.
Mm.
So he became the Dumar, the god of wealth, or Bok Dumar, the god of wealth and commerce. And then eventually the party actually met him, and he's like, "I just got stuck here." Uh, right.
That's awesome.
This flow, by the way, with the miniatures, I adore.
Hmm.
So I have a prompt I've got here, which specifically uses a film grain Hasselblad middle format and
Okay.
a certain lens and ISO to give it this kind of like you can see all of these have this
Hmm.
same kind of studio lighting vibe to them.
Yeah.
Um, and then I specifically say it's a miniature action figure model product photography. And then the third one is details of like, if this were an image just on its own, that would be interesting. But because the other two kind of weigh it into a product photography mode, it ends up with really nice hand carved model
Yeah.
vibes. And, like this very much feels like I don't know, like a cool
That's
miniature train
crazy.
set thing you could have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Not everyone likes that style, but I really
That one
enjoy it
looks really
and
cool.
play with it a lot. Um, yeah, this one turned out well, except the hand is backwards. So I don't know. I
Oh.
could probably skin that again.
Whoops.
Yeah, sometimes, etc. Ooh, okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. ChatGPT knows how to do stuff.
Okay.
Uh,
Bottom left is looking promising to me as like a starter in
okay.
particular.
All right. So maybe what we will do is take that one and do some variations, and now we will maybe add in
The,
the pixel vibe,
got
right?
it.
Okay. So this is working well. We've got the Pokemon Tiger on one side. We have some details about it on the other. Um, I would say maybe we just add it to this first bit. So I'm going to do what I know works for pixel, so saying 6-bit, 16-bit pixel art, grass type Pokemon. Okay, that's probably enough. Let's see what it gives us. What I've found is that with V4, at least in the recent ones,
Uh huh.
it doesn't work the same as it used to with variations. It actually deviates a lot more,
Okay.
um, which is why I like this just was like a new thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, where you would expect it to be pretty similar to this, and it kind of took the shape, I guess, but it tries too hard. In older versions of the variations, they would be really similar. Um, and I don't know if that's going to change in the future. Look, I've seen a lot of people trying to use this like as their livelihood lately, of like, making a business out of generating images for people. And
Yeah.
that's so unstable. It changes constantly. I don't
Yeah.
know how you could risk that.
Well, I had seen the like I followed that Levels IO guy, and
Hmm.
you saw his business that he did with the profile pictures, I guess, or
Yeah.
the the I guess you pay some amount of money and you get like and you give it a whole bunch of images of yourself and it'll give you like a whole bunch of what
Yeah.
look like professional uh like pictures of yourself or avatars of
Yeah.
yourself. He
Yeah.
made a lot of money off of that. And
Sure.
that's like from what I understand of him explaining how he did it, he was just chaining together a bunch of these AI tools
Yeah,
that
definitely.
he's got stuff for. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where we're headed. I mean, this last week with ChatGPT, look, like
yeah,
we couldn't quite get the Pokemon thing to work until Midjourney or the ChatGPT gave us a better like prompt that gave us a little more what we want.
yeah,
Um, I think that's fascinating, and it's just going to be more like that of, you're going to have, a set, I especially am looking forward to when you can feed an image to ChatGPT to say, hey, can you describe this to me in concise keywords?
Yeah.
And then you'll just have this sort of like feed one into the other, feed it back, etc., and you'll make this really interesting artwork. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It didn't really bring in the 16-bit pixel art, did it?
No, it didn't. We're probably overpowered by this. Okay, well, we can do this one more time with the same one, and I'll say 16-bit uh, pixel art, and we'll just put a comma here instead of a multi-prompt. See where that goes. And also, I'm going to upscale that one because it still looks nice anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. God, I've had a blast with this Chat GPT stuff, not just with creating these kind of prompts, but
Have you
um,
done it at all for trying to learn something? Like
so
with
I
like
did, and yeah, I did with the other day. I was asking how to do something with where would it be? So I've been on my side project here. I've been working on uh, TRPC for
right.
my backend, and TRPC uses Zod for this sort of stuff, and schema validations, schema creation, schema validation. And I was like, okay, well, I want to understand how this is working. The GitHub of Zod is not explaining it to me in a way that I can understand. So I asked it to sort of explain it to me and give me some examples. And what I found was that the examples were wrong. They were
Yeah.
pulling from a different library that wasn't Zod, but speaking with confidence as though it were like methods available on Zod. And
Yeah.
it just was incorrect. And it's because it's too small, obviously. Like not enough people are using Zod.
Right.
And that's fine, but it was a bit like, gosh, if I hadn't like checked, I might have been incorrectly teaching myself.
Right. I saw
So
that there was actually like someone was showing off this prompt as how, or these series of questions is how GPT chat is going to like replace Google very soon,
yeah,
which I think was actually maybe very well true. But
yeah,
in their example, they had something about TypeScript, and the information that they had about TypeScript was just like patently wrong. I was just
yeah,
like, oh, that's interesting. Like that's that may actually like undo a lot of the benefit I could have seen from this. So
yeah, yeah. It is an odd. It's a middle ground. Like I don't know. I asked it. I think I cleared it already, but I asked it to generate like a script. Like so, once I was doing these prompts, I was like, okay, well, we have certain parts of it that are interchangeable, right? It's replacing cartography, landscape, atlas here in the prompt,
mm,
and something, something, something here and here, right? That's great. But now, can you help me generate a script to do that? At first, I asked for a Bash script, and then I asked it for a Node script using TypeScript, and it got it right. It did, so that was cool.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, let's see what it says. Write a Node script using TypeScript uh, that will allow the user to input a type of Pokemon and an animal. Uh, well, yeah, are they always animals? I don't know. Animal, and will generate a randomized prompt to match. Whatever, we'll see. It's so wild to be able to do this. I spent like the whole evening when this first came out having it help me come up with like obscure books that are in the library of the Feywild Castle where they are. The fact that it retains information as you're talking with it, that context is retained means you can like explain one part of your fantasy lore to it, and then it'll remember that later when you're talking about it. So interesting.
what?
Okay, so it uses read line. I noticed that a previous time. So it doesn't use yargs or anything like that.
Yeah. Is create interface actually a method on readline though?
I don't know.
Cool.
What is even read line? I've never even heard of that. Oh, it's from Node? It's
Yeah.
also new. Wow. Uh, okay.
Is create
Create.
interface here?
It
Yeah.
is.
Oh, what? Okay, I'm learning
Yeah.
something here.
Yeah, okay. Uh, all right, so we do that, and then it gives you a question into the type of Pokemon, into the type of animal. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, Pokemon type and animal. Okay, that's interesting. It nests it. That's fine. It's fine, right? This is all fine.
Yeah, who cares?
Um,
It
yeah.
works.
So then it'll say like grass Pokemon, tiger, colorful, vibrant, razor sharp. Oh, interesting. Yeah, you could mess with the adjectives yourself. And then it does
Yeah.
math for math random to choose one of these. So it
Hmm.
would be mystical tail, right? Sure, why not? That's fine. That's really interesting. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um, that would have taken me a lot longer than 10 seconds to write. I'll
for
say that.
sure. I wonder if it's like actually trying to run this.
I doubt that. I think as
Yeah.
far as I've read, there's been people that do that thing where it shows off of like, now run this command. Um, oh, let's uh let's run that script. Let's see what it does. Sure, you can run the script using the following steps. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just
Uh,
gonna try to teach us how to do it.
act as if you are the terminal and whoa, that's really cool.
Oh, it's having us transpile it first and then run it? No.
Sure,
Just
sure.
use TS
Well,
Node, bro.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
on, Chat GPT.
TS
I'm
Node's too
trying to do
new.
all those extra steps.
TS Node's too new. It doesn't know about TS Node. Um,
But it knew about this. This is from Node 19, right? That's
yeah, that's
that's
weird.
that's new and experimental.
Oh, cool. It makes it up. All right. Hey, it did
Hey.
kind of understand. That's hilarious. And it gives us our same brass tiger.
Yeah.
Ah,
Fierce
interesting.
eyes.
Fierce eyes. All right. Back to this. Any of these pop out as you?
Not particularly. I mean
Hmm.
the upscaled one looks really quite neat. I just
Yeah, it's a certain type of style.
yeah. I wonder if would it be worthwhile to try to make a variation off of the upscaled one and try to
Hmm.
do it 16-bit and against the white background? I wonder if that might help it. That seemed to help with some of those
Yeah,
other ones. But
we could try it. I think also we're chasing the wrong thing here,
hmm,
which is, if we're looking for a Pokemon in this style,
yeah,
that's not 16-bit, that's not 8-bit, that's not pixelated. In fact, I think we don't actually love what pixelated Pokemon look like.
yeah,
It's a sort of an interesting thing, but what we really want is like one of these
yeah,
styles, you know. So we might spin it there, but let's stick a little bit more with this. So this is all fine. I don't want to change it too much. What I do want to say is, or maybe I will. I'll add another thing, which is character art, white background, isolated, um, pixel. Uh,
yeah. Let's get rid of the pixel style. I think you're right.
okay.
Um, I don't know how we signify. Maybe we add back the that artist's name, perhaps.
Yeah. And again, just to be polite, I'll use the two people. Um, okay. We'll see what this does. I don't know. It might be too far along in the process to
To
switch it over.
salvage it.
Yeah, I actually I used to use variations quite a bit, and version 4 is I don't know, I just don't like the way that they work somehow. They don't do what I expect them to. I probably just
Mm.
need to learn a little more about it. By the way, I'm experimenting with one of the prompts it gave me in the meantime.
That's really
Pretty
cool.
cool looking. Pretty cool looking. I'll up this third one as well. You ever? There's a show called The Owl House that my kids watch,
I've
and
heard of this.
there's this one quote where they're like, "You've got to stop. You're addicted to that thing." And she's like, "I'm not addicted to it." And they're like, "You're playing it right now." And she's like, "Am I winning?" And they pan down and like she's like on her phone playing the game that she's addicted to.
Yeah.
She's like, "Am I winning?" Um, I feel like that with this during conversations and stuff. I'm constantly like,
Yeah.
it has the feeling of a Tamagotchi where you don't need to pay a lot of attention to it. You just kind of are like keeping your things moving along, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The asynchronous nature of it, where
exactly.
check back in a little bit.
Yeah.
Once the cues are a little
Yeah.
useful, maybe.
And like I get bored waiting for this to start and do it, so then I'll bounce over to my one of my other channels and be like, "Oh yeah, I did want to like keep trying to get this certain vision to go. What if I tried this?" And then I'll bounce back here because this one will be done. And then before you know it, 2 hours have gone by. All right, see
These are
it's
looking interesting.
yeah, they are. These are cool. They're not quite to the white background, but we're starting to get the isolated background out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's bringing in a bit more of that drawn watercolory style.
Yeah. Which one do you like most of these?
It's interesting. I like these two on the left.
Uh huh.
This one here maybe isn't that interesting, but might get up to interesting once we upscale it. They might fill in some more details in the body.
Yeah.
This one seems like it could just be cool as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
This one's too cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try them both. There's no harm. Um, yeah, I like that. Doesn't do words well.
Pentatos.
Pantatos.
It looks too
The
American to me, bro. I don't
I
know.
know, right? Yeah, look, that's definitely. Sometimes I have to explicitly write. You can do negative weighted prompts, so you
Mm.
can technically, when you're in here, there's two ways to do it. So you can say like blah blah blah, and this needs to be like -3 or something like that,
Mm.
which is fine, but you have to be careful because you can't have less than one by the time you're finished. So if each of these is one, then you have two total. So the most you could do is -2. But they also
Gotcha.
have a one flag, which is dash dash no, which will take like, Earth, Europe, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And it'll weight that at whatever is necessary. Um, and so, yeah, if I didn't want that to be in the cover, which I often don't, like, look, this one up here is, well, I don't know what that is. That looks like UK to me, but then what's this? I don't know. Whatever. The
Oh.
point is, if I didn't want this to be North America, I would have tossed on at the end this flag, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, it's
yeah.
like, can you get bigger on that one? It seems to be prophesying the demise of Florida.
Sure.
I'll get behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, but also like what happened to the Rockies? If these are mountains, where are the Great Lakes?
Yeah, I
The
know.
Great Lakes filled in.
We don't need them. We don't need those.
Yeah, and like Baja's still there somehow.
Baja's still there. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Interesting indeed. Slightly different worlds. All right, we got one. Okay, yeah, see, that ended up kind of coming up a little nicely.
Yeah,
And this one also looks cool. I like the
I
swirly
actually like
patterns.
that one a lot.
Yeah,
The claws are interesting too. What are these
a bit of
called?
red panda vibes.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay,
I
I
like
like it
it.
too. Like it a lot. Okay, cool. Then, phew, at least we got to a good place with it.
Yeah,
Grass tiger. Um, yeah. So what we could do is take like the link of it and use that to start something totally new, and we would say grass tiger Pokemon Uh, and we'll keep the art style by these two. Um, the Pokemon is standing on, this doesn't quite work. It doesn't really understand this, but if you kind of give it enough direction, it kind of picks it up after a while. Uh, Hillside under a large tree, roaring into the wind. I don't know if this will have any impact, but I'm trying to get something a little more
Like a
cinematic.
pose.
Yeah, like a pose out of it.
Gotcha.
Um, and I will actually add some stuff. Cinematic, HD. I don't use this as much anymore because V4 is so good, but when I want to kind of like sculpt it into a vibe, it helps to do stuff like, 8K. Um, it doesn't actually make it 8K, but it references then images that have been tagged with 8K in its training model and
Gotcha.
sort of knows that you need like high contrasts and things like that.
Mm.
Um, I'm going to do also vibrant colors to give it a thing. Probably also want then not watercolor. That's not quite right. No, you know what? It's fine. Let's just see what it gives us. So having that image weight is going to make it this, but I hope the other descriptions will sort of like keep it as this, but pull it, try and fit that into it. It might turn this into the hill. Who knows? We'll find out. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it can also help to um, use multiple images of the same type of thing. So if you had one of these that was close to what you wanted, and then just mix the two of them, and you end up with
Yeah.
cool troll dudes.
Should have just mixed it with the troll hamster god.
Yeah, and you can keep going too. Like we could mix that troll hamster god with this and see what happens. Yeah, I don't actually want. Well, you know what? It doesn't hurt. This is in my experiments channel.
Let's get wild.
Yeah. Again, no information, no context for
No
it. Just
context, just do it.
do it. No, I should have given a portrait reference. It's okay. So by default, it's the square aspect ratio, and it's okay. I'm so glad they added aspect ratios back into V4 so you can do portraits and you can do landscapes.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess a thumbnail we'd want what, like 16:9, I think is the aspect ratio.
Probably, but yeah, we can't get that. V4 only does 3 by 2 or 2 by 3.
Okay. 3 by
So
2 is close enough, I guess,
yeah, 3
right?
by 2 is okay. Yeah, I mean, like most of these ones that I've been generating are 3 by 2. I
Hmm.
mean, look at this one.
Oh man,
Like, look
that's
at
so
that.
cool.
Oh my God. It turned out so good. And it was hardly any tweaking. Like, I don't know. I've been doing so much stuff. Like, I have ones that I want to share, uh, and it just fills up every day.
Yeah.
So I've shared like 94, but I still have 200. And then like each day there's like six or seven more at least, if not a lot more than that. Um, some of these styles are just so good and interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, like this photograph, like that's wild. Ooh, this is what I want. It's not quite our same cat. Like this one is a little more green in the face, and this one is orange.
Yeah.
But it looks like a grass type tiger on a hill, so got in the right direction. What do you think?
Yeah. I was hoping we could get it roaring, but these look awesome actually. Okay. I I don't really like the direction of this, but the bottom left is actually really interesting in what it did with the tail. Like that's
Uh-huh.
actually unique in a way I wouldn't have thought to.
Mm.
Like with the tail coming out of like its back more.
Yeah, it's
That's
interesting.
definitely unique. But yeah.
Oh God. That's pretty funny. I'll wait for it to finish. Oh boy. Well, that's a kind of a Pokemon, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean that's cool
Jeez.
too.
That's a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the
All
one
right,
other
which
trick we could try. So, like, this is the one we want. We like this a lot.
yeah.
Um, the one that is closest looking to that to me is probably, oh, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Probably the top left one.
Hmm.
So the idea was I would upres one of those and then mix those two together, trying to skew it more towards the one that we want. So we'll get the pose or we'll get the environmental shot of the one,
Hmm.
but really force it into keeping the colorations we like.
Gotcha. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so I'll upscale that one, and then yeah, I will copy that link and sort of prepare in advance for it. Another thing you can do is you can have the same link twice, which kind of can help to
Mm.
emphasize it. Don't do that too often. Um, let me see. Okay, let's try not describing it as grass tiger because I think that keeps pulling it back towards orange stripes.
Yeah. Is there at some point where we can just say, hey, like, don't. We have the image, so we don't need the text anymore? Is that a thing? Or
Mm,
do you find yourself still using the text most of the time?
no, I still pull it back to text because the image, you're not always certain that it understands what it is.
Hmm.
Um, so again, we didn't give this any information, so it just did a blend. But if we had said like this is a cat troll, it might have added the tail in. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, but in this case, like in the new one we're trying to do here, I'm gonna keep the tiger out of it. So I'm just gonna say a Pokemon by
Yeah.
these artists. The Pokemon is standing here. Kids are going out to play. But
Nice.
waiting for this one to finish rolling up. It's definitely pretty.
Yeah.
God, this is so weird.
That was so bizarre.
Sometimes I think these images know how cursed they are.
Oh no. Well, the runes, the runed tattoos it's putting
Yeah,
on, it almost looks like Illidan from World of Warcraft a little bit.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I guess those are the tiger stripes manifesting itself on our
Hmm.
troll. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, all right, come on, you can get there. This will probably be our last hurrah. I
That's
think we're
fine.
pretty close anyway. Copy link.
If not, like that one, that I'm sure would probably be fine too for the
Yeah, I
thumbnail.
mean that is pretty cool. Uh, eh, yeah, like I said, we'll give it one more try. Yeah, in other news, I've been coming along quite nicely in my side project. Um, everything is broken now, of course, because why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
I'm, yeah, dealing with TypeScript of it's, it's so close. And then I could have shown you some stuff, but yeah, I've had to deal with a lot of random stuff. But it's nice that it is getting closer. Like I'm actually able to spin things up. I've actually got in in here a lot of the like API endpoints
Hmm.
done. So the ability to create these things, to delete some of them, to update them, like all that functionality is being restored, and I'm finding like the bugs and things. I'm not
Cool.
entirely sure I like this schema-based way of doing things, but I'm learning it. I'm figuring it out. It's also a
Yeah.
lot of repetitive code.
So this
But
is using a lot of Zod, and you're going against like a edge function.
yeah,
Is
so there's a
sort of the
cloud,
idea.
the TRPC cloud function here takes any of the requests of that function and pass them through to the router.
I
And
see.
then the
Hmm.
router will then, if you want to update a campaign, it'll hit the uh, I've explicitly, subdivided them by like account stuff versus main functionality stuff. But if I go into this router, it has all of the routes organized this way. So if I
Gotcha.
do go into update campaigns, then it runs this procedure, and then it takes the input here
Mm-hmm.
and it validates it. So I use Zod to essentially validate. So if I
Mm.
incorrectly send, something here in the front end, if I send
Yeah.
campaign spelled incorrectly, it will on an API level just say, hey, you made a mistake here. That's
Right,
not
right,
what we
right. So it's
expected.
like
So I
there's
don't
a
have to,
validation step before you actually go into the execution of
yeah,
the
exactly.
yeah.
And I guess the benefit of that, besides not having to write a bunch of, hey, you messed this up, is that at that stage, you don't have to define a type explicitly.
Yeah.
It just knows that if I make a typo here, that's not right.
Right.
So that's been okay. But it's also you have to, in order to get the full leverage out of it, you have to turn on strict true in your TS config.
Yeah.
And
Do you not usually
there's
work with strict?
I hate doing this all the frickin'
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. There's a
If
lot
if
of
I could
that and
have
it's a lot
everything
of
else,
question marks and exclamation
yeah,
points.
yeah, I really hate using exclamation points.
Yeah.
If I had this, if I didn't have to do this all the time, I think it would be fine. I could deal with the other stuff.
Right.
But no, I don't appreciate that at all. And then that means I don't get the leverage. So like you can see these are
Yeah.
optional, right?
Mhm.
So title is optional in this. But on my front end, all of it is optional because
Mhm.
strict true is not enabled here. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I don't like.
I'm just used to it at this point, I feel like, cuz I always have strict mode on. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
don't,
know
and there's
I
fixing
know
stuff. Yeah,
Matt Pocock is like really big on Zod. He's
yeah,
been doing
I
his
know.
total TypeScript thing. I think it just soft launched, so I was actually gonna probably go buy it at some point here, just to
Nice.
see how he's doing stuff. But and just to see his case for Zod. But every time wanted to do validation, I feel like TypeScript assertions, like where you say the function that returns the value like asserts uh, your input parameter is like the type you expect it to be.
Uh-huh.
That's that's what I'll usually do for validation. It's just that. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. And for me, this is also switching my headspace around where
Yeah.
the schema and the validator defines the type that you
Mm-hmm.
then want to deal with. So I don't remember exactly the phrasing of it, but I would do something like um, uh, type whatever. Yeah, that was this Zod.infer type of, and then I would use
Mm-hmm.
this in the front end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I get that. I just don't know that I like that. I'm not used to doing it that way. So I define
Yeah.
something code and then generate a type based off of that code and then
Interesting.
use that elsewhere. It
Yeah.
just feels a little
Yeah, that's like the
backwards
opposite
to
of what
me.
I would normally do, which is
Yeah,
normally I'd
exactly.
write write the interface and then I'd write the some validation function after that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
that's why I'm having trouble under like fitting it into my mental model within my code base. It's like, okay, well, once I'm done with this, I want to clean it up and I want to actually, knowing I'm probably not going to turn strict true on, I would like to have, hey, here's what this uh, input takes.
mhm.
I want to then import that into my front end. So I'll essentially have a shared file. But because this then becomes the source of truth, and I don't want this library necessarily to be exposed. No, I guess it is. I don't know. It'll be fine. It's just I don't. My head's not quite around it yet. But as
Yeah,
you say, Matt Pocock's course, I definitely have open as well.
gotcha.
So maybe somewhere down here.
No, I love
Um,
the what first got on my radar was he was sharing like some of the images he used for it.
I know.
There's one of the images that I thought was actually so apt, which was it was some artist inspired rendition of Eve uh being prompted or Eve eating an apple and opening a book of knowledge, which was
Huh.
TypeScript. I was like,
Nice.
"Oh, that's so perfect because TypeScript is like this interesting like black hole that can definitely be super helpful, but also introduces like a whole new layer of pain
Yeah,
into
absolutely.
everything. So, so yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
like the
great.
bottom one a lot there. The top
Yeah, I
one
think
is a little
that's
too stylized, maybe,
yeah,
but
I think this one's our winner. I
I think
mean,
so. Here,
we have this guy, and maybe that's the smaller evolution. Once he gets bigger, he sprouts the tree.
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Ah, it looks so nice.
Yeah. Here, send me
Yeah.
that. I'll make it our thumbnail, and we can close out.
Okay. I will send this to you. Dun, 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 dun. Boom.
How come your
Four
Discord has
megabytes.
a? Oh, mine does too.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
time of year.
snowy.
Yeah, I'll send you this one too. Uh, where did this go? Just so
It's
you have
awesome.
the mini one. Yeah, I think successful overall. Not quite what we started with, but looks
Hey,
lovely.
I'll take
Nice
it.
and
I mean,
coherent.
one of the things that has been eye opening to me about all this is I thought it would be like, oh, this is going to be such a time saver. And it still is, I'm sure, but it's more
Yeah,
of
yeah,
a like skill saver. Like I don't need the skills of being able to have
yeah.
like the artistic ability to be able to do that. But
Right.
it I was hoping we could do like 3 starter Pokemon, you know,
Oh,
and yeah, being able to get the one is definitely cool. But I
well
thought it
here.
would just be as easy as like cranking out 2 more real quick now that we had the prompt. So
No, but that's the thing. What I found about it is it doesn't work that way. Like you have to
yeah.
tweak and find where you're going to. It's a very nebulous sort of like journey to there. What I think will happen within the months ahead is that we would be able to feed this image to something that can describe it in visual terms. So
Mm,
it would pick out the details of like this Pokemon is this is the art style, or this is the compositional style. And then you can take that prompt that describes the image and then use that to generate other variations. So you
mm,
find essentially like a template, you turn that into words, and then you can make three variations very quickly off of that
gotcha.
as style reference. But we're not there yet because ChatGPT doesn't technically connect to the internet.
Ah.
Um, so until that
Can we
does,
feed ChatGPT images? Or
no, that's the thing.
okay,
If you
I
try
didn't
to,
think
it
so.
says I can't connect to the internet. I don't know if that's entirely true or if they just disabled it.
I
I do
did
know,
see.
yeah,
I think it's been disabled, but I did
yeah,
see some people asking it questions about that, and it would tell them, "Oh, I can't connect to the internet, so I can't give you that information." But then you could prompt it with, "Pretend you are a bot that does have access to the
yeah.
internet," and then ask the question. And that appeared to work for some people on Twitter for a bit until maybe they monkey patched it because I tried it and it didn't work for
I
me.
I think they monkey patched it if it worked at all. I also think that there's some grifting kind of like,
Yeah.
kind of shit going on there too.
They're doing it for the
So
the Twitter likes.
for
I
sure,
could definitely see that too.
yeah, um, yeah, great. Yeah, next time, well, yeah, no, next time I want to show you more about the side project and
Yeah.
where that's headed. It's getting quite nice. I'm serious. Like I'm getting back finally to a place where I can recreate functionality that's existing.
Awesome,
Um,
dude.
and yeah, I'll have some more tests written
Yeah.
by the time we're done as well.
It,
Anyway, we'll
it
talk
feels
about
like
that.
when you get to like that place in a project where things just kind of work the way you want. That's always a
Yeah,
nice feeling.
yeah, it's not quite there yet. There's still these weird edge cases, but I learned a lot about the Supabase client
Hmm.
and things that I don't like about it right now, um, which we can talk about next
Have you
time.
hit the thing where it won't actually make a query unless you await or then it?
No, I haven't, because my front
Okay.
end is very, very simple and lightweight.
Got it.
Um, and I'm also always, yeah,
That's
what I
something that
have is,
trips people a lot on the Discord. I feel like I have to answer that a lot. But
yeah, you've mentioned that. No, my problem now is I want to get everything back to working, like we said last week. I want to get everything back to working, but some of these are so fragile, they're so verbose, right? It has to
mhm.
do six things. in a row, and each one of those is a failure point that I can't roll back. So I need
Mm-hmm.
to eventually, once I get this working, I need to roll stuff back.
Yeah.
But here's an example of this way of doing this is really weird, and the TypeScript for it doesn't help you, and I really don't like this. It can be one or an array, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, could you just not put it as one item inside an array or an empty array? That would be so much nicer than just like failing if it has no results, or
Yeah.
then you do maybe single and it is either,
Yeah.
star or like, sorry, star, star. Like, you're just like, could you just not do it, have it be like an array, you know? Like, really?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that I find really annoying because it means every time I have to do this kind of dance of like, is it an array? Then I'll return it. Otherwise, I need to wrap it inside here because it's only one. It's like,
Yeah.
this is not, I don't, I shouldn't have to write this every
Well,
time.
the may wouldn't you get that if you just got rid of the maybe single method?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think what I get in this case is well, this is also a little more complicated because I'm looking at the inner join result.
Ah,
So
let's see.
the outer one, I think that worked for. So it will give me an object, a single object, or nothing. Yeah, it basically is fine if it gives me no response, and I can bail out if it doesn't. So I just check, did it give me a response or not? So that's good. I like maybe single. They did improve that.
Gotcha.
But then inside that, this select inner, I don't know how to get that back as a non-array. So I see records is either this object from the database or an object from the database array.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's maybe why I have special use case in here because I'm doing a lot of these inner join lookups. Whatever, it'll get simpler over time. We'll talk
Yeah.
about it next time.
Yeah, I'll look forward to next time then. I may
Yeah.
have some interesting project to show you then too. We'll
Ooh,
see. We'll see how
fancy.
much time I have. I got some videos I got to make first. So,
Nice.
all right. Well, thanks for coming and doing this again, Evan. Always great
Yeah.
talking to you, and a lot of fun just seeing all this cool stuff on Midjourney and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Good. There's yeah, it's continually a source of joy and inspiration. So that's nice. It's keeping me
nice.
going through the winter.
Awesome, dude. All right. Have a good weekend, sir.
You
And we'll
as
see
well.
you next time.
Thanks for watching all.